Girlfriends who threatened breakup. Weekly, how did you react when he said okay? Story 1. My ex Tessa had a hobby, threatening to break up every Sunday night like it was a scheduled TV show. If I forgot to text back fast enough, maybe we should just end this. If I didn't post her on my story, clearly you're embarrassed of me. We're done. I started dreading my phone buzz like it was a dentist reminder. One night she did it over pasta. We were at my place, she took one bite and said, "This is bland, like our relationship." Then she hit me with it, casual as breathing. Maybe we should break up. Normally I do the usual routine. Apologize, promise date nights, swear I loved her properly, but something in me just snapped quiet. I looked at her like she'd just asked if I wanted water. I said, "Okay." She blinked. "What?" "Okay," I repeated. I stood up, walked to the closet, and grabbed the tote bag she always left there. I didn't slam anything. I didn't yell. I just started putting her stuff in it. Charger, makeup bag, that hoodie she'd stolen for a year. Her voice got sharp. "Are you serious right now?" "Yeah," I said. "If you want to break up, then okay." She started backpedaling instantly. "No, I'm just saying you're not fighting for us. You don't care. Look at you. So calm." I stayed calm because I finally understood. It wasn't about leaving. It was about watching me panic. She tried tears, then anger, then this weird laugh like I was pranking her. "You're gonna regret this." "You'll beg." I opened the door and held the bag out. "I won't." She stood there, stunned, like the script got deleted mid-scene. Then she grabbed the bag and walked out, still waiting for me to chase her down the hallway. I didn't. I closed the door and my apartment felt 10 pounds lighter. A week later, she texted, "I can't believe you let me go that easily." I stared at it for a minute and realized the truth. I didn't let her go. She finally went, and I finally stayed. Story 2. Alyssa called it keeping standards. I called it emotional whiplash. Every week, sometimes twice, she'd threaten to break up if I didn't do what she wanted, if I didn't switch plans last minute, if I didn't agree her coworker was totally flirting, if I didn't read her mind and magically know she wanted flowers without having to ask. She'd say, "Maybe we're just not meant to be," then stare at me like she expected fireworks. The worst part? She did it in public. It was like she needed witnesses. One Friday, we were at a small bar with friends. I got up to take a call from my mom. She'd been having health issues. And when I came back, Alyssa was ice cold. She hissed, "So your mom gets more attention than me?" I told her what the call was about. She rolled her eyes, loudly. Then she said the line, right there at the table, "Honestly, we should just break up." Everyone went silent. I felt my face get hot. But not from shame, from clarity. My friend Mark looked like he wanted to crawl under the booth. I took a breath and said, "Okay." Alyssa's smile froze. "Excuse me?" "Okay," I said again. "If that's what you want, we'll break up." She tried to laugh it off. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said, steady. "You are. I'm just agreeing." Her eyes went huge, like I'd slapped her with a contract. "So you're not even going to fight for me?" I glanced around the table. Everyone was watching like it was a season finale. "I've been fighting every week," I said. "I'm done." She stood up fast enough to knock her drink. "You're humiliating me. You did that," I said quietly. "You just expected me to fix it." She stormed out. The door banged. For a second, nobody moved. Then Mark exhaled like he'd been underwater. "Dude," he said, "she's been doing that to you in front of us for months." I went home, turned my phone off, and slept for 9 hours straight for the first time in a year. The next day, Alyssa texted, "I can't believe you didn't chase me. That proves you never loved me." And for the first time, I didn't argue. I just replied, "Take care." It felt like stepping out of a loud room and hearing silence again. Story 3. We lived together. That's what made it feel extra insane. Maya would threaten breakup weekly, but because we shared a lease, she treated it like a reset button. If she didn't like how a conversation was going, she'd drop, "Maybe I should just move out." Then she'd watch me scramble, begging her to stay, promising to do better, like our relationship was a customer service complaint. The week it changed, it wasn't even a big fight. She wanted me to skip my brother's engagement dinner because her friends invited us to a last-minute party. I said no. She crossed her arms. "Then maybe we should break up." I didn't even look up from the dishes. "Okay." The water kept running. That's how normal it felt to me in that moment. Like saying okay to rain. She laughed once, sharp. "Stop." I turned the faucet off and faced her. "I'm not joking." Her mouth opened, closed. You're serious? Over a dinner?" I shook my head. "No. Over a year of you threatening to leave whenever you don't get your way." Her eyes got glossy. "I don't mean it. I just say it when I'm upset." "Then stop saying it," I said. "Words have consequences." She reached for me like she wanted to pull me back into the old dance. "Babe, come on. You know I love you." "I know you love control," I replied. And that came out harsher than I meant. But it was honest. I walked to the bedroom and grabbed the folder with our lease paperwork. I put it on the table and said, "We can talk about who keeps the apartment. But we're not doing this cycle anymore." Maya stared at the folder like it was a weapon. "I thought you'd panic," she whispered. And the fact she admitted it out loud made my stomach drop. That night she cried, begged, promised therapy, promised everything. And I almost caved, because habit is powerful. But then she said, "Just don't ever let me go again," and something in my chest went cold. Because that wasn't love. That was a demand for permanent leverage. 2 weeks later, she moved out. My place got quieter, emptier, and safer. And the weirdest part? I started smiling again without checking if it would start a fight. Story 4. Lena had a countdown timer in her head. Every time we argued, she'd say, "I'm done," then wait for me to prove I'd earned her. It started small, then it became weekly. Sometimes she'd threaten breakup over things that weren't even about us. Her boss was rude, her sister annoyed her, the weather sucked. I became the punching bag she could leave whenever she wanted. One Wednesday, she called me furious because I didn't answer right away. I was in the shower. By the time I called back, I got, "Of course you're ignoring me. We should break up." I sat on the edge of the bed, towel around my waist, water still dripping off my hair, and I just felt tired. Not sad, not angry. Tired. I said, "Okay, Lena." There was a long pause. Then, "What did you just say?" "Okay," I repeated. "If you want to break up, then we're broken up." Her voice changed instantly. Sweet, panicked. "No, I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted you to take me seriously." "I am taking you seriously," I said. "You keep telling me you want to leave, so I'm agreeing." Then she tried a new tactic. Rage. "Wow, you're heartless. So you never cared. You're just throwing us away?" I stayed quiet until she ran out of steam. Then I said, "I'm not throwing us away. I'm putting the threat down. You can't use it anymore." She started crying. "I just get scared you'll leave." And that's when it clicked. She was threatening to leave so she wouldn't have to feel vulnerable. She wanted to be the one holding the exit sign. I told her, "If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't threaten me." She didn't respond. We ended the call. The next day, she posted a vague Instagram story. Some people show their true colors. Her friends unfollowed me like it was a coordinated attack. For a minute, I wanted to defend myself. To explain. To fight. Then I remembered, I don't have to win the story she tells about me. I just have to stop living inside it. Story 5. My girlfriend Bree treated breaking up like it was a prank phone call. Every week, "We're done." Then she'd wait for me to spiral. It always ended the same. Me apologizing for things I didn't do, her forgiving me like she was doing charity work, and then she'd act extra sweet, as if she'd just trained me successfully. The week I said okay, it happened during her birthday weekend. I'd planned a small surprise. A picnic at the park, her favorite bakery cake, and a necklace she'd mentioned months ago. Nothing insane, but thoughtful. She showed up late, already annoyed, and said the blanket I picked was cheap-looking. I laughed awkwardly, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. She picked at everything. Food, music, the fact I didn't invite enough people, the weather like I controlled it. Finally, she snapped, "You always ruin things. Maybe I should just break up with you." And right there, holding a plastic fork over a slice of cake I paid for, I realized something brutal. She didn't want a boyfriend. She wanted an audience. I set the fork down and said, "Okay." Her face did this little glitch. "Stop saying that. I'm not saying it to be cute," I replied. "If you want to break up, I'm agreeing." She looked around like she expected strangers to jump in and defend her. Then she hissed, "So you're dumping me on my birthday?" "You threatened it," I said. "On your birthday." "Over cake." She grabbed her purse and stood up fast. "You're going to regret this. I'll have 10 guys lined up by tomorrow." I nodded. "Then you'll be fine." That sentence absolutely detonated her confidence. She sputtered, "You're supposed to care." "I cared every time you used this as a weapon," I said. "I'm done being threatened into loving you." She stormed off across the park, still expecting me to chase her. I didn't. I packed up the picnic alone, and honestly, it was humiliating. But it was also the first time I chose my dignity over my fear. That night she texted, "So we're really done?" I answered with the same word that ended the whole game. "Okay." Story 6. She used, "We should break up" the way other people use punctuation. Period. Comma. Exclamation point. If I didn't agree with her, if I didn't guess her mood, if I didn't read her mind, boom, breakup threat. Kira did it every week, like she needed to remind me she had the power to walk away. The time I finally said okay, it wasn't during a huge fight. It was during a grocery run. I put a generic brand cereal in the cart. She slapped it out like I'd insulted her bloodline. "Seriously? You're cheap." I laughed. thinking she was playing. She wasn't. She leaned in and said quietly, "This is why I don't think we're compatible. Maybe we should just end it." And something in my brain went peaceful. Like a switch flipped from panic to acceptance. I said, "Okay." She froze in the aisle with the fluorescent lights buzzing above her. "Excuse me?" "Okay," I repeated. "If you want to end it, we can." Her eyes went wide, scanning my face for the usual fear. She didn't find it, so she tried to manufacture it. "Wow, so you don't even care?" "I care enough to stop doing this," I said. "You threaten it every week. I'm tired." She grabbed the cart and wheeled it away like she was storming out of a courtroom. "Fine. Then we're done." "Okay," I said again. 10 minutes later, I was paying for my groceries alone. My phone buzzed nonstop. "Are you serious? Answer me. You're really doing this?" I didn't reply until I got home. One text. "Yes. Take your stuff this weekend." She showed up Saturday with 2 friends like backup dancers for drama. They expected a scene. I handed her a box of her things and a spare key in a Ziploc bag like it was a library return. Her friend whispered, loud enough for me to hear, "He's being cold." Kira's eyes were watery. "You're just letting me go?" I shrugged. "You already left me every week. I'm just not chasing this time." Story 7. Nina's breakup threats were always timed perfectly, right when she'd done something wrong. If she flirted with some guy at a party and I said it bothered me, then maybe we should break up since you're so insecure. If she forgot my birthday dinner and I looked disappointed, "Wow, you're making me feel guilty. Maybe we should break up." It was like she had an emergency exit sign she could slam whenever accountability showed up. The week I said okay, it was after I found her texting her ex. Nothing explicit but enough. "Miss you. Remember our hotel trips?" I showed her the messages and she instantly went defensive. "You're invading my privacy. If you don't trust me, we should break up." I stared at her for a second, then nodded. "Okay." She blinked hard. "Wait, what?" "Okay," I said, calm. "If you want to break up, let's do it." Her face shifted from anger to panic so fast it was almost funny. "I didn't mean it like that. I meant you're being controlling." "I'm being done," I said. "You don't get to threaten breakup to dodge consequences." She started crying, then yelling, then crying again. "You're seriously throwing away 2 years over texts?" "No," I said. "Over the fact that every time you hurt me, you threaten to leave, so I'll shut up." She reached for my arm. I stepped back. That tiny movement shattered something in her. She whispered, "You're not supposed to actually let me." And there it was. The whole trick. I packed a bag and went to my brother's place. She spammed my phone with please and "I'm sorry," and I was just scared. 3 days later, she posted a selfie with a caption about choosing peace. Like she didn't light my peace on fire weekly. I didn't comment. I didn't defend myself. I just blocked her. Best part? The silence didn't feel lonely. It felt safe. Story 8. My girlfriend Jade had a ritual. Every Monday after work, she'd pick a fight, then threaten breakup, then demand I prove I'd still choose her. She called it checking the relationship. I called it emotional blackmail with a cute name. The week I said, okay, I was exhausted. Like bone deep, can't even argue exhausted. She showed up to my place already mad. "You didn't greet me with enough enthusiasm." I blinked. I said hi. She tossed her bag on the couch. "Not like you mean it. It's giving roommate energy. Maybe we should break up." Usually I'd scramble. I'd do the performance. The reassurance dance. This time I just sat down and said, "Okay." She laughed once. "Stop." I didn't stop. "No. If you want to break up, then okay. Let's do it." Her smile died. "Are you punishing me?" "No," I said. "I'm agreeing with what you keep asking for." She started pacing, hair in her hands like she was trying to reverse time. "I just need to feel wanted." "Then say that," I replied. "Don't threaten me." She stopped pacing and stared at me. "So you're not going to fight?" I shook my head. "I'm not going to beg anymore. It makes me hate myself." She got quiet, which scared me more than yelling. Then she whispered, "If you don't beg, I don't know if you love me." I said, "If you need me to suffer to feel loved, that's not love." She sat down slowly like her legs gave out. "So, this is it?" I nodded. "Yeah." She left without slamming the door. And somehow that was worse, because it meant she finally understood I wasn't playing. 2 weeks later, she messaged, "Therapy made me realize I used breakup as control. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, because I finally loved me more. Story 9. Olivia threatened to break up weekly, but she did it with a smile, like it was cute, like it was a relationship meme. She'd say, "I swear I'll leave you," and poke my chest like it was flirting. But the threat always landed. It always made me anxious. It always made me overcompensate. Then she started doing it in front of her friends. One night we were at her friend's apartment. I made a harmless joke about her being late. She was always late. Everyone laughed, except her. Her eyes narrowed and she said, loud enough for the whole room, "If you keep embarrassing me, I'll dump you." The room went quiet. I felt my stomach drop. Then I felt something else, disgust. Not at her, at myself for accepting it. I stood up, put my drink down and said, "Okay." People thought I was joking. Olivia didn't. She stood too. "Excuse me?" I looked right at her. "Okay, if you want to dump me, do it." Her friend tried to laugh. "Ooh, drama?" Olivia's voice got shaky. "Babe, I didn't mean it. I'm just saying." "No," I said. "You meant it enough to say it. In front of everyone." Her cheeks flushed. "So you're leaving? Over a joke?" "I'm leaving because you use breakup to win," I replied. "And I'm not competing for basic respect anymore." I grabbed my jacket and walked out. My hands were shaking, but my back was straight. She chased me into the hallway. "Wait! Don't be like that. Come back inside." I turned around and said, "This is what happens when you say it too many times." Eventually, someone agrees. She stared at me like I'd broken a spell. The next day, she texted, "I didn't think you'd actually leave. That was just how I talk." And I realized, that's the problem. She talked like that. And I lived like that. Never again. Story 10. My ex, Brooke, didn't threaten breakup when she was angry. She did it when she was bored. If we had a calm week, she'd create a crisis like she missed the adrenaline. "Do you even love me? Why don't you fight for me? Maybe we should break up." It was like she needed chaos to feel alive. The week I said, "Okay," she did it during a family dinner. My parents invited her over. My mom cooked all day. My dad even bought her favorite sparkling water. Everything was warm and normal. Exactly the kind of peace Brooke couldn't stand. Halfway through dinner, she poked at me. "You've been distant," I whispered. "Not here." She smiled sweetly at my mom, then turned to me and said louder, "Maybe we should just break up." My mom's fork stopped midair. My dad's eyes narrowed. The whole table went silent. Brooke waited for me to panic, to rescue the moment, to promise her the world in front of everyone. I put my napkin down slowly and said, "Okay." Brooke's smile collapsed. "What?" I looked at my parents. "Sorry. I didn't know she was going to do this." Then I looked back at her. "If you want to break up, okay, but not as a performance at my parents' table." Her face went red. "I was just being honest." "No," I said. "You were being dramatic." She stood up so fast her chair scraped. "So you're choosing them over me?" "I'm choosing peace," I replied. She grabbed her coat and stormed out. The door slammed. My mom looked like she might cry. I expected to feel horrible. Instead, I felt relieved, like I'd finally ended a hostage situation. My dad poured me more water and said, "Son, don't ever let someone threaten you into behaving." And for the first time, I didn't defend her. I just nodded. "I won't." Story 11. My girlfriend, Paige, treated "we're breaking up" like a remote control. One press and I'd start acting right. She'd do it when she wanted attention, when she wanted money, when she wanted me to cancel plans. Weekly, like clockwork. The week I finally said okay, it was over a hoodie. She borrowed my favorite one. Old college hoodie, soft, sentimental. A week later, I saw it on her friend's Instagram story, with her friend wearing it. I asked Paige, calm, "Hey, can you ask her for it back?" Paige rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd fall out. "It's just a hoodie." "It's mine," I said, "and I want it back." She crossed her arms. "You're being weird. If you're going to be like this, maybe we should just break up." Normally that line would hit my chest like a brick. This time it sounded lazy. I said, "Okay." She smirked. "Finally. Maybe you'll learn." "No," I cut in, still calm. "Okay as in yes. We should break up." Her smirk melted. "Wait, what? You're dumping me over a hoodie?" I shook my head. "Over the fact that you threaten to leave anytime you don't want to do something basic." She started laughing like I was doing a bit. "Stop. You're being dramatic." I opened my phone, found her friend's story and said, "Tell her to bring it tonight. Then we're done." Paige stared at me like I'd spoken a new language. "You can't just end it when I say that. That's literally what breaking up is," I replied. She texted her friend, furious fingers stabbing the screen. 30 minutes later, her friend dropped the hoodie off at my door without looking me in the eye. Paige didn't even come inside. She stood in the hallway and whispered, "So you're really not fighting?" I said, "I fought every week. Today I quit." Story 12. Tara had a scoreboard in her head. If I didn't win the week, surprise date, big compliment, perfect tone, she'd threaten breakup like a buzzer. The week I said okay, she did it in the car, in traffic, like she couldn't wait. She'd spent the whole drive listing things I did wrong. I chew too loud. I don't poster enough. I don't lead like a man should. I kept my eyes on the road, heart pounding, because I knew where it was going. Then she said it. "Maybe I should just break up with you. I can do better." I gripped the steering wheel, took a breath and said, "Okay." She turned toward me, shocked. "What?" "Okay." I repeated. If you think you can do better, go. She scoffed. Wow, so you're just letting me leave? I'm not holding you hostage, I said, voice steady. You keep threatening to leave. I'm finally opening the door. Her voice got sharp. Pull over. I'm serious. I signaled, pulled into a gas station, and parked. All right, she stared at the windshield like I'd betrayed her. You're actually doing this. I'm actually done, I said. Tara tried to flip it instantly. You're abandoning me. You know I have anxiety. I nodded. I know. That's why I begged you to talk to someone. But you use your anxiety as a weapon and my fear as your proof. Her eyes filled. She reached for my arm. Baby, I didn't mean it. I just want you to fight. I gently removed her hand. I'm not fighting for a relationship that uses threats as fuel. She got out, slammed the door, then stood there waiting for me to chase. I didn't. 10 minutes later, she called. Are you just going to leave me here? I said. I'll send you money for an Uber, but I'm not coming back. That was the first time in 2 years my no didn't shake. Story 13. My ex, Sonia, had a special talent. She could turn any disagreement into a breakup threat within 60 seconds. Me. Could you not yell at me in front of my friends? Her. Then maybe we should break up since I'm such a terrible girlfriend. Me. Can we split bills more evenly? Her. If you're counting pennies, we should just end it. It got so common that even my friends started predicting it. $10, she says the line, my buddy joked once. I laughed, but it hurt because he was right. The week I said, okay, she did it during a game night at my apartment. She accused me of flirting with my friend's girlfriend because I passed her the chips. The CHIPS. Sonia's voice rose, dramatic, sharp, and then she said it. You know what? We should just break up. Everyone went silent. My friend's girlfriend looked mortified, holding the bowl like it was evidence. I stood up, put my cards down, and said, okay? Sonia blinked, confused. You're supposed to say I'm wrong. No, I said. I'm saying okay. We're broken up. Her eyes went wild. You're embarrassing me. You embarrassed yourself, I replied, and you've been embarrassing me weekly. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice wobbled. I didn't mean it, I'm just mad. Then stop using breakup as a threat, I said, because it works until it doesn't. Sonia grabbed her purse and stormed out. The door slammed. My friends stared at me like I'd just performed a magic trick. My buddy slowly pushed $10 across the table and whispered, I hate that I won that. I sat back down and felt my hands shaking. Not from heartbreak, from withdrawal. Like my body didn't know what to do without the chaos. Then my friend's girlfriend said quietly, that was really brave, and for the first time I believed it. Story 14. Elena didn't threaten breakup to hurt me. She threatened it to test me. She'd say, would you even care if I left? And if I didn't freak out enough, she'd get colder. It was like she needed proof that I'd crumble without her. Weekly, she'd light the fuse and watch me run. The week I said, okay, we were lying in bed, scrolling on our phones. No fight, no tension. Just quiet. She looked over and said casually, I don't think you love me as much as I love you. I sighed. That's not true. She tilted her head. Then prove it. How? She smiled, almost playful. Maybe we should break up. See how you react. I turned my phone off. My chest felt tight, but my mind felt clear. Okay? Her smile vanished. Stop. I'm serious. I am too, I said. I'm not doing experiments with my life. Elena sat up fast. I didn't mean we'd actually break up. I meant you'd fight and reassure me. I nodded slowly. And that's the problem. She stared at me like I'd changed shape. So you're just giving up? No, I said. I'm refusing to be tested like a product. She started crying. I just need reassurance. Then ask for reassurance, I said, softer. But you don't get to threaten abandonment to feel secure, she whispered. So what now? I took a breath. Now you decide if you want a relationship where we talk or one where you threaten to leave. Because I'm only staying in one of those. She didn't answer. She packed a bag the next day to think. 2 days later, she came back with a long message about therapy and fear of being left. And I believed her. But I also knew this. If she ever used that line again, I'd say okay again. Because love shouldn't be a weekly hostage note. Story 15. My girlfriend Cassie loved the power of a breakup threat more than the breakup itself. She'd do it at the end of arguments when she knew she'd crossed a line. Like a smoke bomb. Maybe we should break up. Suddenly, I'd be comforting her instead of dealing with what she did. The week I said, okay, she did it after she ruined my promotion dinner. I'd just gotten promoted. My boss took our team out. Cassie came along and drank too much, started making jokes about me being obsessed with work, and not that ambitious in bed. People laughed politely. I wanted to disappear. On the drive home, I said, controlled but hurt. Why would you say that? She shrugged. Relax. It's not that deep. It was humiliating, I said. Cassie flipped instantly. Ugh, you're so sensitive. Maybe we should just break up then. I pulled into a parking lot and turned the car off. My hands were shaking, but my voice was quiet. Okay. She stared at me like I'd insulted her. What? Okay, I repeated. We'll break up. Cassie's confidence cracked. You can't be serious. You're just mad. I'm serious, I said. Because you don't get to embarrass me, then threaten to leave so I'll comfort you. Her eyes filled. But it wasn't remorse. It was panic at losing control. So you're throwing me away over one mistake? I looked at her. It's not one mistake. It's the weekly pattern. She got out of the car, slammed the door, then immediately yanked it open again. Are you going to let me walk away? I nodded. Yes. For a second, she looked like she might scream. Then she whispered, You're cold. I answered honestly. No. I'm finally warm to myself. And then I drove home alone, with my promotion still mine, and my dignity finally back in my hands. Story 16. My girlfriend Marla threatened breakup every Friday night. Not kidding. Friday. Like she needed a weekend headline. If I wanted to see my friends, then maybe we should break up since you'd rather be with them. If I didn't want to go clubbing, wow, you're boring. We should just end this. If I asked her to stop checking my phone, if you have nothing to hide, why do you care? Maybe we should break up. It trained me. By Friday afternoon, I'd already be anxious, trying to prepay the peace with extra compliments and whatever you want energy. Then one Friday, she did it over a parking spot. I circled the block twice because it was packed. Marla sighed like I was ruining her life. God, you're so incompetent sometimes, I said. It's just busy, she snapped. If this is how you handle simple stuff, maybe we should just break up. And the weirdest thing happened. I didn't feel scared. I felt embarrassed for her. Like watching someone use the same cheap trick and expecting it to keep working. I parked, turned off the engine, and said, Okay. Marla's head whipped toward me. What? Okay, I repeated. If you want to break up, we'll break up. Her jaw opened slightly like her brain was buffering. No, I'm saying you need to step up. I'm saying I'm done, I replied. She did the usual sequence. Laugh, arrow, insult, arrow, tears. You're really doing this? Over a joke? It's never a joke, I said. It's a threat. Every week. We went inside. I was calm enough to eat. She barely touched her food, waiting for me to fold. After dinner, she said, Are you seriously not going to fix this? I paid my bill and stood up. I just did. In the car outside her place, she paused with her hand on the door. So you're not coming up? I looked at her. No, she stepped out, then leaned back in like she couldn't believe it. You'll text me later. You always do. I didn't argue. I just said, good night, and for once, Friday night didn't feel like a trial. It felt like freedom. Story 17. My ex, Holly, used breakup threats like a leash. If I pulled away, she yanked. If I stood up for myself, she yanked harder. Weekly, she'd say, maybe we should break up. Then watch me scramble to prove I was worth keeping. The week I said, okay, she did it in the middle of my busiest day at work. I was on a lunch break when she called. I saw you liked a girl's post. I blinked. It's my coworker's promotion post. Holly's voice went icy. You're disrespecting me. Maybe we should break up. Normally, I'd start explaining, apologizing, offering my passwords like a hostage exchange. This time, I just felt tired. I looked at the clock, looked at my sandwich, and said, okay, silence. Then, what did you say? Okay, I repeated. If you want to break up, then we are. Her tone shot up an octave. You can't just agree like that. I'm upset. I hear you, I said. But you don't get to threaten me every week. I'm at work. I'm not doing this. She tried anger. Wow, you're choosing your job over me. I exhaled. I'm choosing sanity. Then she tried crying. So you don't love me? I answered. I don't love being controlled. She went quiet, then said, low and mean, you'll be alone. No one's going to put up with you. That sentence flipped something in me. Because it wasn't fear. It was a promise. Good. No one should put up with a relationship. I said, okay, I'll swing by tonight to grab my stuff. I hung up before she could scramble the script. Later, she texted, I didn't mean it. I was testing you. And that was the moment I realized she wasn't my girlfriend. She was my examiner. Story 18. Jess threatened to break up weekly, but she wrapped it in therapy language like it was healthy. I'm protecting my peace. I'm setting boundaries. I'm not begging for bare minimum. And then she dropped the hammer. Maybe we should break up, but it wasn't boundaries. It was blackmail with a self-care label. The week I said okay, she did it during a relationship check-in. She scheduled like an HR meeting. She sat across from me with a notebook. I need you to be more intentional. You don't plan enough. You don't surprise me. You don't court me. I nodded. I can do better. But I also need you to stop threatening to leave when you're unhappy. She tapped her pen. I'm not threatening. I'm being honest. If my needs aren't met, I can walk. I said. Then talk to me. Don't weaponize leaving. She leaned back and said it, like a final line in a play. Then maybe we should break up. And I just smiled sadly. Okay, I said. Her pen stopped midair. Sorry? Okay, I repeated. We should break up. Jess stared like I'd flipped the table. You're avoiding growth. You're running. No, I said. I'm agreeing with the person who brings up breaking up every week. She tried to regain control by sounding calm. So this is your choice? It's yours, I replied. You keep offering it. I'm finally accepting. She got up, pacing. You're going to regret losing me. I nodded. Maybe. But I already regret staying in a relationship where breakup is a tool. She left my apartment and didn't slam the door, which was almost worse. Like she thought she was taking the high road. 2 days later, she sent a long message about holding space and communication. At the end, she wrote, I just wanted you to fight. And I realized, the whole time she didn't want partnership. She wanted performance. Story 19. My girlfriend, Dana, threatened to break up weekly as a way to win arguments she couldn't actually win. If I had a point, she'd escalate. If I stayed calm, she'd escalate more. And when she ran out of logic, she'd say, maybe we should break up. The week I said, okay, it was because I caught her lying about money. We were saving for a trip. I noticed withdrawals that didn't match anything we bought. I asked carefully, what are these? Dana instantly went defensive. Why are you checking? That's controlling. I'm checking because it's our savings, I said. She slammed her phone down. I can't do this. Maybe we should break up. I looked at her, then at the bank app, then back at her. Okay. Dana's eyes narrowed. You're not going to apologize? No, I said. I'm going to separate our finances and our relationship. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. I didn't raise my voice. You're stealing. And then threatening breakup to avoid talking about it. Dana stared at me like she'd never been called out cleanly before. I'm not stealing. I just needed it. For what? I asked. She hesitated. That hesitation answered everything. I stood up and walked to my desk, pulled out the envelope with the cash I'd been saving, and put it in my pocket. I'm going to my brother's. We'll talk tomorrow about getting your stuff. Dana's voice turned honey sweet. Babe, come on. Don't do this. I didn't mean it. I paused at the door. You say you didn't mean it every week. That's the issue. She followed me into the hallway, whispering, You're seriously leaving me? I looked at her and said, Okay, it wasn't cold. It was accurate. Story 20. Sabrina's breakup threats were like fireworks. Loud, dramatic, and always meant to make everyone look. She did it in restaurants. She did it at parties. She did it on FaceTime with her friends watching in the background like an audience. Weekly, she'd say, I'm done. Then watch me scramble to pull her back in. I hated it. But I also got addicted to the relief when she stayed. The week I said, okay, she did it at her friend's engagement party. We were dancing, having an actually nice moment, and then I said something harmless. Let's get some water. Sabrina pulled back like I'd insulted her. Wow, you're killing the vibe. You always do this. Maybe we should break up. It was loud enough that 2 people nearby turned their heads. I stopped dancing, looked her in the eyes, and said, okay. Her smile faltered. Stop. No, I said, still calm. Okay, let's break up. Her eyes widened like she suddenly realized the crowd was real. You're not going to do this here. You started it here, I replied. She grabbed my wrist. You're embarrassing me. I gently pulled away. You embarrass yourself every week with this. Sabrina's friend hurried over, tipsy and nosy. OMG, are you guys fighting? Sabrina forced a laugh. He's just being dramatic. I nodded. No, I'm being done. Her face flushed. You can't just leave me at my friend's party, I said. Watch me. I walked out into the cold night air. My heart was pounding like I'd just jumped off something high. Behind me, I heard her calling my name, louder and louder, trying to pull me back with volume. But the door closed, the music muffled, and for the first time, the chaos couldn't reach me. On the ride home, my phone lit up with texts. Come back. Please. I didn't mean it. And I finally understood. She never meant it. Until I did. Story 21. My girlfriend, Rena, lived 3 hours away, so our relationship ran on calls, weekend visits, and her weekly breakup threat. It always showed up right before she wanted something. My location shared, my password, me canceling plans. Every Thursday night, like a subscription, she'd say, if you loved me, you'd prove it. Otherwise, maybe we should break up. One week, she demanded I share my location 24/7. To feel safe, I told her I'd call more, visit more, whatever. But I wasn't turning my phone into an ankle monitor. Her voice got sweet and sharp at the same time. So you're choosing privacy over me. Fine. Maybe we should just break up. Usually I'd panic because long distance already feels like standing on thin ice. This time I just stared at my screen, exhausted, and said, okay. She went silent. Then, what? Okay, I repeated. If that's your deal breaker, then we're done. Rena laughed nervously. Stop. I'm serious. I am too, I said. I'm not negotiating love at gunpoint every week. She tried to recover control. So you're dumping me because I asked for reassurance? No, I said. Because you keep threatening breakup to get compliance. Her breathing got fast, like she'd finally realized the cliff was real. You're really doing this? From one conversation, I answered. From 12 conversations that ended the same way. The next day, she texted like nothing happened. Hey babe, can you send me that hoodie I left at your place? So I did. I mailed her hoodie, her charger, and a small note that just said, okay. She called immediately, furious. You're being petty. No, I said. I'm being final. And for the first time in months, my phone stayed quiet all night. Story 22. Avery threatened to break up weekly, but it always had the same goal. Pressure. Pressure to propose. Pressure to take the next step. Pressure to prove I was serious. If I said I wasn't ready yet, she'd go, maybe we should break up and I'll find someone who is. Then she'd watch my face like she was waiting for a ring to appear out of fear. The week I finally said, okay, we were at a jewelry store. Her idea. Her casual browsing. She pulled a ring out, slid it on her finger, and smiled at me like a trap closing. This is the one. Imagine if you loved me enough. I laughed awkwardly. Avery, come on. She put the ring back dramatically. If you keep wasting my time, maybe we should just break up. There it was. The weekly hammer. Only now it was in public, with a saleswoman standing there pretending not to listen. I looked at Avery and said, calm as ordering coffee. Okay. Her smile froze. What did you say? Okay, I repeated. Let's break up. The saleswoman's eyes flicked between us like she'd just been forced into a reality show. Avery's voice dropped to a hiss. You're embarrassing me. You tried to propose to yourself, I said. And you're mad I didn't clap? She went red. I was testing you. You're supposed to chase me. I nodded once, then turned to the saleswoman. Sorry for the scene. Avery grabbed my arm hard. You can't do this. We've been together 2 years. I gently pulled away. Exactly. 2 years of threats. She walked out first, waiting for me to follow like always. I didn't. The saleswoman cleared her throat and quietly said, do you want to look at anything for yourself? I almost laughed. No. I just wanted my life back. Story 23. My girlfriend Celeste threatened to break up weekly whenever she felt jealous, especially about my best friend, Mia. Mia and I had been friends since high school. Zero romance, tons of history. Celeste hated that she couldn't control it. Every time Mia texted, Celeste would get cold. Every time I defended the friendship, she'd say, maybe we should just break up if you can't prioritize me. The week I said, okay, it happened at a wedding. Mia was getting married. Celeste came as my +1, smiling in photos, acting supportive, until Mia hugged me hello. Celeste's nails dug into my arm like she was marking territory. Later, she cornered me near the dessert table. You looked happy when she hugged you. It's my best friend, I said. Celeste's eyes narrowed. If you care about me, you'll leave early. Or maybe we should break up. The band was playing. People were laughing. And I suddenly saw the rest of my life. Every celebration held hostage by her insecurity. I said, okay. She blinked hard. Don't do that. Okay, I repeated. We should break up. Celeste's face went pale. Not here. You picked here, I said. At someone else's wedding. She started whisper yelling. You're choosing her over me? I shook my head. I'm choosing peace over threats. Celeste stormed toward the parking lot, expecting me to chase. Instead, I walked back into the reception and asked Mia's husband where the bar was. An hour later, Mia found me and said, are you okay? I looked around at everyone dancing and said, yeah. For the first time all year. Right then, Celeste texted, come outside. I'm ready to talk. I typed one word back. Okay. Then I turned my phone off and went back to the dance floor. Story 24. My ex Brielle got addicted to relationship tests from TikTok. If a video said threaten breakup to see if he fights, she'd do it. Weekly. Sometimes twice. She'd announce it like a challenge. If I said we should break up, what would you do? And if I didn't react like a movie scene, she'd get offended. The week I said, okay, she decided to film it. We were in my kitchen. She set her phone against a cup like she wasn't being obvious. Then she picked a fight about nothing. How I loaded the dishwasher, how I didn't make her feel chosen, the usual script. Finally, she said loudly, eyes flicking toward the phone. Maybe we should just break up. I looked straight at the phone, then at her, and said, okay. Brielle's confident face cracked instantly. Wait, what? Okay, I repeated. We're done. She lunged for the phone like it was a bomb. No, babe, stop. It's a trend. That's worse, I said. You're threatening to end us for content. Her voice got frantic. I was just trying to see if you care. I cared, I said. You just needed an audience. She tried to turn it into a joke, but her hands were shaking. Come on, you're taking it too seriously. I opened the front door. Take your stuff. Brielle stood there in shock, phone in her hand, like she couldn't believe the video ended with her losing control. As she left, she whispered, so you're really not chasing me? I shrugged. Not for views. And the wild part? A week later, she messaged me. My followers say you're toxic for not fighting. I replied, okay, then blocked her, before she could turn that into another clip. Story 25. My girlfriend Danny used breakup threats like a bulldozer. Every time she wanted a major life change, move in, change jobs, cut someone off, she'd threaten to leave until I gave in. Weekly, she'd say, if you don't step up, I'm done. The week I said, okay, she wanted me to move into her apartment and pay most of the rent because a real man provides. I told her I'd move in when we were both comfortable and the finances were fair. She rolled her eyes. Wow, so you're cheap. Maybe we should just break up. I didn't even blink. Okay. Danny laughed like I was bluffing. Stop. You're being dramatic. I stood up, took a slow breath and said, no. Okay. We're breaking up. Her face went blank. You can't just agree. I'm upset. You're not upset, I said. You're negotiating. She stepped closer, voice sharp. So you're choosing money over me? I'm choosing respect, I replied. And I'm not renting love. Danny stormed out, then came back 10 minutes later with the classic reversal. Soft voice, watery eyes. Babe, I didn't mean it. I just want to feel secure. I nodded, then asked for security. Don't threaten abandonment. She stared at me like she'd never heard a boundary spoken out loud. So, you're really leaving? I picked up my keys. Okay. 2 days later, she showed up at my door with her mom in tow, like a surprise jury. Her mom said, you're really breaking her heart. Danny whispered, just tell me you'll try. I looked at them both and said, calm and final. Okay. I tried. It's over. And for the first time, the silence after the door closed didn't feel empty. It felt like my life finally belonged to me again. Story 26. My girlfriend Lexi had a weekly ritual. She'd threaten breakup right when I started relaxing. Sunday night, pajamas on, movie picked. Boom. I don't think this is working. At first, I took it seriously. Then I realized she did it when she wanted to feel powerful. If she sensed I was happy, she'd create a problem so she could be the solution. The week I finally said, okay, she did it while I was making popcorn. You've been acting too comfortable, she said. Like comfort was a crime. You don't chase me anymore. I turned the stove down. Because I'm tired of chasing a person who keeps running. She scoffed. If you don't put in effort, maybe we should just break up. I didn't even hesitate. Okay. Lexi laughed once, shaky. Stop. You're supposed to say you'll try harder. I poured the popcorn into a bowl and faced her. I'm trying right now. I'm trying to leave a cycle. Her eyes narrowed. So you're dumping me? I'm agreeing with your weekly suggestion, I said. She stood up fast. You're being manipulative. You're flipping this on me. I nodded slowly. That's what accountability feels like when you're not used to it. Lexi grabbed her phone and started texting. Probably her group chat, her emergency audience. Then she looked up and said, if we break up, I'm telling everyone you gave up on me. I shrugged. Okay, that word broke her more than yelling ever could. She stared at me like she'd lost the last card in her deck. She left that night. At 2 a.m., she sent, are you awake? Can we talk? I typed, okay, and then I didn't open the door. Story 27. My ex, Vanessa, threatened to break up weekly, but only after she'd done something cruel. It was her escape hatch. Insult me, then threatened to leave so I'd beg her to stay and forget the insult. One week, she mocked my job in front of her friends. I work IT. She called it computer babysitting and laughed while her friends laughed along, like I was a prop. On the way home, I said quietly, that hurt. Vanessa rolled her eyes. God, you're sensitive. Maybe we should just break up if you can't take a joke. Usually my stomach would drop. This time I felt something colder. Disgust. I said, okay. She turned in her seat like I'd slapped her. What? Okay, I repeated. Let's break up. Vanessa tried to recover with sarcasm. Wow, over a joke? You're insane. It wasn't a joke, I said. It was disrespect. She scoffed. So you're going to throw away everything because you're offended? I pulled into her driveway and turned off the engine. No. I'm throwing away the part where you get to treat me like garbage and then threaten me into silence. She stared at the dashboard, breathing hard. Then she tried tears. I didn't mean it. I just get carried away. I nodded. And I get carried away staying. She slammed the door, marched inside, then came back out 5 minutes later with a bag. She stood beside my car waiting for me to beg. I didn't. As I drove away, she texted, "You're really not coming back?" I replied, "Okay," and for the first time, my chest didn't feel tight. It felt open.